Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate you guys joining us this evening on the Great America Show, wherever you guys are tuned in from. If you're tuned in for America or another country, believe it or not, we do have a pretty decently big audience abroad, Europe, Canada, and various different places across the globe. So we appreciate each and every one of you guys tuned in to the Great America Show live tonight here from the once great city of New York. Do you guys feel like no matter what President Trump does, there's always some sort of rebuttal? He's always doing something wrong, at least in the eyes of the Marxist Dems. I mean, the guy brings gas prices down, and it's like, oh, well, he's getting the oil from someplace he shouldn't be getting the oil from. He brings egg prices down, and it's like it never even happened. He brings inflation down. It's like inflation never existed in the first place. I mean, you could go through a list of various different things that President Trump has done now with his coming up on in just 5 days, his 1 year back in office, just a few weeks ago, capturing Nicolas Maduro, a communist dictator who hates America, who ships drugs to America, who ships drug addicts to America, drug dealers to America, gang members to America, is in bed with China and Russia, gets this guy in probably one of the most covert, crazy operations since the killing of Osama bin Laden. I'd argue it's even harder than that, and I'm sorry to my good pal Rob O'Neill, who captured Osama. But it's not enough for the Marxist Democrats. Now, if Joe Biden would have gone in and got him, it would have been the greatest thing that's ever happened to this country. You know, things would be excellent. Joe Biden's a savior, or Kamala Harris for that matter. They're saviors. They saved this country. But no, Donald Trump goes in and gets him, and Donald Trump is now some sort of war criminal. He's got war powers resolutions against him, which we're going to talk about in the Senate. That the RINOs. It's crazy. He's getting more pushback from the Republican Party than he is from the Democrats. But this is the new reality of what we're forced to live with. The RINOs can't stand him, and the Democrats hate his guts. But the Maduro thing, it's just been boggling my mind all day today. We see President Trump sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of the oil to Venezuela, which will manage the money. The money will go to Venezuela, manage the money, so that it's not spent on the wrong things. But no, it's not good enough. Mind you, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the ones who put the bounty on Maduro's head. It was $25 million, and Trump raised it up to $50 million. Now, for the Democrats and the RINOs who don't know, a bounty means he's wanted by somebody, the U.S. government. You go out and get him, you get a reward. But instead of getting a reward, a simple thank you to Donald Trump, he gets pushed back from his own party. And he gets pushed back from the Marxist Democrats. It's so sad that this is the new reality of what we're forced to deal with here in America. So the big story tonight is boots are on the ground in Greenland. No, it's not American boots. Troops from several European countries continue to arrive in Greenland this afternoon in a show of support for Denmark, as talks among representatives of Denmark, Greenland, and the United States highlighted fundamental disagreements over the future of the Arctic island. Now, the disagreement came into starker focus this afternoon with President Trump in the White House describing plans for more talks with officials from Denmark and Greenland as technical talks on the acquisition agreement for the U.S. to acquire Greenland. Take a listen to President Trump earlier this afternoon when he was asked about that meeting and about taking Greenland.
We're going to see what happens with Greenland. We need Greenland for national security, so we're going to see what happens. They're going to brief me on the meeting right after this conference. In fact, the sooner I get you out, the faster I'm going to know exactly what happened. But we have a very good relationship with Denmark, as you know. We'll see. But, we're doing the Golden Dome. We're doing a lot of things, and we really need it. If we don't go in, Russia's going to go in, and China's going to go in. And there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it, but we can do everything about it.
More thing, what they can do than
well, we're going to see. I mean, look, we're going to see what happens, but we need it. I'm not the first one. This was talked about by President Truman, and 40 years before President Truman, they were talking about it. They've been talking about this for 100 years. This is not anything so new. A lot of people don't realize that. This was a hot subject. Probably not as hot as it is now, but it was a hot subject for a long time. We need it for national security, and that includes for Europe. And I spoke with, as you know, Mark, the head of NATO, and he really wants to see something happen. It's very important for national security.
So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But President Trump has been very straightforward. Now, Danish foreign minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen, no relation to Rasmussen Reports, described it as a working group that would discuss ways to work through the differences between the two nations. He said, quote, "This group, in our view, should focus on how to address the American security concerns while at the same time respecting the red lines of the Kingdom of Denmark. The problem is the influence that Denmark has allowed in Greenland by Russia and China. That's President Trump's issue. Now, before the talks began yesterday, Denmark announced it would increase its military presence in Greenland. Several European partners, including France, Germany, the UK, Norway, Sweden, and the Netherlands, sending their symbolic numbers of troops, were promised to do so in the following days, which I'm not entirely sure what it's meant to show. Is it supposed to intimidate America? Is it supposed to intimidate President Trump? Because if he wanted Greenland, there would be no force that would be needed to go in there and take it. The mere President Trump withdrawing from NATO, letting them know he'd withdraw from NATO, would be more than enough, which they've threatened. Denmark has threatened the use of lethal force should President Trump try to take Greenland by force. Now, the troop movements were intended to portray unity among the Europeans and the European Union and sending a signal to President Trump that an American takeover of Greenland is not necessarily going to happen, as NATO together can safeguard the security of the Arctic region and rising Russia and Chinese interest. So I'm not sure what they think they're doing, like I said. Now, the reader, Rasmussen, said it remains clear that the president has a wish of conquering over Greenland. It's so beyond idiotic. It's so beyond idiotic. You've got guys, Emmanuel Macron, ensuring that the first French military elements are already en route and others will follow. But literally all it will take is President Trump saying, all right, I'm all set with NATO. I kind of lost interest in being a part of this alliance that does absolutely nothing for me. NATO has caused more problems for America than I think they could ever repay in military support. You could thank NATO for the war in Russia and Ukraine right now. That seems to be no end in sight. So I've said that I think NATO is doing President Trump and America a massive favor by threatening him with a good time should he decide to pursue Greenland. I want to take a quick break here, folks. On the other side of this quick break, we'll be back in less than 60 seconds, so don't move. Don't move muscle. We're going to talk about some of the RINOs in the Senate who are now coming out against President Trump. Not just on this, on a few other things. President Trump also prepared to send troops to Minnesota, Minneapolis, should they not be able to get their act together He's tired of it. America's tired of it. How many more of our guys do we need to be hurt or attempted to run over or hit with shovels? We're taking a quick break. We're live, so please be sure to hit that like, subscribe, follow button. Let us know where you're tuned in from. If you're on Rumble, YouTube, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe and follow button and turn your notifications on so you know every time we go live. We're taking a quick break here. We'll be back in less than 60 seconds. Please stay with us.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that we're making it through. My employees and I want to thank you for your continued support by extending our wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows only $14.98. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.98. But it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows $29.98 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including my standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98, Kings only $1 more. Not only that, order $75 or more, ship absolutely free. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Thanks, everybody, for staying with us here on the Great America Shoppy Thursday. The weekend is almost here. We're looking forward to it. Like I said, if you're joining us tonight, please be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and follow button on YouTube, Rumble. We truly, truly appreciate it. So the RINOs, just as bad as the Democrats, if not worse. Senate Republicans this afternoon are vowing to block any effort by President Trump to seize Greenland by military force. As Trump officials refuse to back off their demands to control Greenland during their meeting with the top diplomats that met with the Danish folks, among other people. But there are some Republican senators who continue to be the gift that keeps on giving. You could probably guess who they are. The two to start, Senators Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski, and they're planning to travel to Copenhagen tomorrow to assure the Danish Prime Minister that there would be strong Republican opposition to any efforts by President Trump to use military force to seize Greenland. Tillis says, quote, I'm going to remind them that we have co-equal branches of government, and I believe that there's sufficient numbers of members, whether they speak up or not, that are concerned with this. The actual execution of anything that would involve a taking of a sovereign territory that is part of a sovereign nation, I think would be met with pretty substantial opposition in Congress. Right now, and this is Tom Tillis's words, people are trying, this is an example, whoever keeps on telling the president this idea is achievable should not be in Washington, D.C. And that's Tom Tillis, who's leaving Congress at the end of his term. The same Tom Tillis who opposed Ed Martin and sank Ed Martin for D.C. U.S. Attorney because of how owned and operated he is by the healthcare industry. These are the RINOs. I can assure Tom Tillis nobody cares what he says. I read his comment just as a mere laughing at him because he thinks him going to Copenhagen. It would be nice if they spent time in with their own constituency. Tom Tillis in the Carolinas and Murkowski up in Alaska with their own constituency, us Americans, to see what they can do for their constituents, to see what they can do for their people here in America, instead of trying to undermine America on the world stage like you're some savior or you're auditioning for your next lobbying job. Now, President Trump hasn't even said he plans to take it by military force. A member of the media tried to coerce him into saying it today. This was his response.
Right now, it sounds like you are saying that you would potentially acquire Greenland by force. That would be a NATO country.
Well, you're saying that.
Are you saying that? Would you do that?
No, you're saying that.
Would you acquire
I didn't
that by
say it.
force
No,
right
you're
now?
telling me that that's what I'm going to do. You don't know what I'm going to do.
So what are the options?
Your
then?
network
Because
doesn't know either.
The Danish foreign minister said that there's still fundamental differences after the meeting with Rubio and with the vice president. Are you willing to leave the NATO alliance in order to get what you want with Greenland? What are the options right now?
Well, I wouldn't be telling you what I'm willing to do, certainly. I'm not going to give up options, but it's very important. Greenland's very important for the national security, including of Denmark. And the problem is, there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it if Russia or China wants to occupy Greenland. But there's everything we can do. You found that out last week with Venezuela. There's everything we can do about things such as that. Not going to happen. We're not, I can't rely on Denmark being able to fend themselves off. They were talking about they put an extra dog, and they were serious about this. They put an extra dog sled there last month. They added a second dog sled. That's not going to do the trick.
Denmark fought alongside the United States in both Afghanistan.
Thank you for
and
telling me
Iraq.
that. I appreciate it.
But
I have a very good relationship
they're
with Denmark,
ally
and we'll see how it all works out. I think something will work out.
So President Trump, like I said, was not even intimated he plans on taking anything by force. And it's a national security issue. We can't continue to allow China and Russia, especially China, to push their influence around the world. Now, I'm not for America being the world police or anything like that. Matter of fact, I speak out against it almost every day here. I'm vehemently against it, as was the great Lou Dobbs. But there's certain things that you need to do. It's like the Cuban Missile Crisis, with missiles pointed at America 90 miles from our border, 90 miles from our country. There's certain precautions and things that need to be in place in order to keep your country safe. And that's where I think it differs from being the world police to worrying about American national security. Invading Mexico and their drug lords. It's for America. It's for American sovereignty. It's for American safety. So the safety of our brothers, our sisters, and our children. Fighting a war in Russia and Ukraine, nothing to do with America. And I think that's the stark contrast between being the world police and defending America's sovereignty and America's people, which is what our politicians should be worried about. We shouldn't be worried about a war between Russia and Ukraine. We shouldn't be worried about a war between Palestine and Israel. It's not our problem. And that's where the world policing comes in. Rather, we should be dealing with problems like we just dealt with in Venezuela that directly affects America. Or dealing with problems like we have in Mexico right now, where these drug facilities continue to mass produce fentanyl and other drugs and ship them in from China. That's a problem that needs to be taken care of. Now, it would be nice if President Trump had the support of his Republicans. But, as you folks all know, the RINOs want to do all they can to undermine him as best as they possibly can. Now, last night, Senate Republicans struck down a war powers resolution that would block President Trump from using military force against Venezuela, as he's got them on their heels right now. It's like having the bully against the wall. The guy's bullied you your entire time in school, and you've got him against the wall, and you've got your one chance to just let him have at it. And someone comes from behind you and pulls your arm back. That's what the RINOs do. Now, last Thursday, the Senate voted 52-47 to advance a war powers resolution to limit President Trump's military actions in Venezuela, which had veto written all over it. 5 Republican senators joined the Democrats to advance this resolution. Senators Young, Murkowski, Collins, Rand Paul, and Hawley of Missouri. Now, there's some familiar names on there, or usually the repeat offenders. But just last night, 2 of those senators, Hawley and Young, decided to flip and vote to strike down that resolution. And it all comes down to a numbers game, folks. let's get to 50-50 so that JD Vance has to come in and strike this thing down. It's all a numbers game. The whole thing is a show, a pony show. I worked in Congress, unfortunately, so I know all too well how it goes. So they get to their 50-50 miraculously, somehow to the 50-50 where JD Vance has to come in and cast that tie-breaking vote, to which he did. And the Senate last night voted to block that War Powers Resolution 51-50. But it's just embarrassing that it even has to come to that we have to deal with these people, with these RINOs. It's so far beyond idiotic. Folks, I want to take a quick break here. One more quick break. It's going to be less than 60 seconds, I promise. And we're going to come right back, continue this conversation. America has seized yet another oil tanker from Venezuela. I want to tell you about the RINOs in the House who want to continue to keep funding these NGOs that hate America. And President Trump is doubling down on his threats against Minnesota, as we could see military intervention any moment. We're coming right back in less than 60 seconds. If you're joining us on Rumble or YouTube, please be sure to smash that like, subscribe, and follow button. We'll be right back.
Just like all of you, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. I'd flip-flop all night, use my arm for support, and fall asleep, or I'd wake up with a sore neck or maybe a headache. Well, quality sleep comes from keeping your neck straight at night. You have to fill in that space between your head and your bed. That's why I invented My Pillow. My Pillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it doesn't matter if you sleep on your back, stomach, side, or any combination of all three.
When I got My Pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get Classic King My Pillows for only $19.98. Queen size just $18.98. Standard Classic My Pillows only $14.98. That's right, only $14.98. Plus all orders $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Thanks, everybody, for staying with us here on the Great America Show. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're joining us, like I said, on Rumble or YouTube, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, follow button, give us a thumbs up. Let us know where you're tuned in from. We're going to get to your shout-outs before the end of the show. At least we're going to try to get to as many of them as we possibly can. So please be sure to drop a comment and let us know where you're tuned in from. Let us know if you're enjoying the show. Let us know if you hate the show. It's a great thing about America. You can speak your mind and, may not be popular, but that's what makes America great. So the RINOs didn't just decide to go against President Trump on the War Powers Resolution. Today, the House voted to keep funding a globalist NGO responsible for global censorship and domestic propaganda. 81 Republicans siding with the Democrats this time around. Can you imagine? It's another stunning display of the uniparty betrayal. The National Endowment for Democracy, NED, which is a globalist NGO notorious for meddling in foreign elections and fueling censorship worldwide, even pushing domestic propaganda right here in America. It was a vote of 127 to 291. Lawmakers rejected an amendment offered by Congressman Eli Crane to prohibit $315 million in funding for NED as part of the 2026 spending package. Now, Eli Crane had some nice tweets after. He said, "The swamp is real, but we did not pass the Shower Act this week. I could use one after spending so much time in this awful place." He says, "Tonight, the Uniparty rejected my amendment to fund NED. 81 Republicans voted with the Democrats to fund this rogue organization that fuels global censorship and domestic propaganda. We will keep fighting." Now, the 81 senators, we're not going to waste your time and go through them, but a lot of them, these same old folks, same old establishment folks. You've got Lawler and the boys, 81 just total RINOs. You could go look at the names and you wouldn't even be surprised at it. And a lot of them who will be retiring after this year. So they all get, like I said, they get ready for their next job, their next gig in lobbying. Because that's ultimately what these people care about. It's when can I get my next job? When can I get my next job to become a lobbyist? Now, the other fight that President Trump's been dealing with is his tariff fight, which, of course, one of those things we could add on from the top of the show, the RINOs don't like. They brought in record amounts of money for America. They have our trade deficit at a number we haven't seen in years, down ridiculous amounts from just a year ago under Joe Biden. And the Republicans say, now they'll tell you, oh, it's hard on the American people. It's this, it's that. And it's nonsense. So you can't go buy your new German vehicle because there's a little tariff on it. You can't go buy a new Rolex watch or your fine French wine, your brie cheese. You pay it. You know, you want to enjoy the fine things in life. During Christmas time, I was in Manhattan, and I went to my favorite Italian deli to pick up some prosciutto. And it was more expensive than it usually is, a few dollars more a pound. But I buy it once or twice a year, so I paid the tariff price on it. It's not hitting on your everyday goods. Gas prices are down. Egg prices are down. Food prices are down for the most part. And everything is going to start to follow in suit. But the big fight now is Supreme Court. We're waiting on them to rule on President Trump's tariffs, if they're constitutional or not. President Trump had this to say about those tariffs and the Supreme Court.
It's a little bit like whole milk. I can't believe we even have a case. This was a case started by very China-centric people and also anti-American people, frankly, people that don't want us to do well. Tariffs have helped us stop 8 wars. They've helped us get the best trade numbers we've ever had. They've helped us get $18 trillion brought into the country. And maybe above all else, they've given us tremendous national security. Just the threat of tariffs. You saw that just yesterday when I put tariffs on a certain country. We won't talk about that country, but you know who it is, based on the fact that if you do business with that country, you know, it's going to make them, it's going to bring them to the table a lot faster. So we have made hundreds of billions of dollars with tariffs. We have very little inflation. Think of it. Inflation's gone down and productivity, everything has gone up. We've never taken in money like we have. We've never had anywhere near $18 trillion invested in our country, neither has any other country. It's the biggest number by maybe 5 times. 5 times, not 5%, 5 times. Nobody's ever seen numbers like this. We have plants going up. You know, you mentioned I was in Michigan yesterday. I was at the Ford plant where they make the Ford 150. It's one of the original plants. It was from before World War I. It's a giant plant. That plant was probably going to be closed. And 2 years ago, they were doing very poorly. And now they just announced yesterday that they're going to go 24 hours around the clock. 3 shifts, which they rarely do. That's Ford, and Ford's having the best numbers they've ever had. General Motors having the best numbers they've ever had. Stellantis, which hasn't been here, is now investing billions, tens of billions of dollars on building in the country. We're building auto plants all over the country. We're building AI all over the country. We're leading China by a lot, and a lot of it has to do with tariffs. That would be a very disappointing decision. And especially since the people that are fighting me are people that want China to do well.
That's the Democrats and the Uniparty fellas who hate America and want to do all they can to support these rogue Marxists. It's so sad and beyond pathetic, as I keep repeating myself, to see these people stoop this low just to hurt President Trump. They don't care if they hurt the country. President Trump did not hold back this morning when responding to the attacks on ICE agents in Minneapolis, warning he will invoke the Insurrection Act if Minnesota politicians fail to rein in their professional agitators and insurrectionists. President Trump's statement came after a night of extreme chaos in the city last night, which included agents having to fire a defensive round after being attacked with a shovel by, of course, an illegal alien and rioters robbing paperwork and weapons from an ICE vehicle. Yeah. This is what Tim Walz is allowing in his state. President Trump writing on Truth Social, if the corrupt politicians in Minnesota do not obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in the once great state. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. That's what Tim Walz wants. And it's going to happen. No more Mr. Nice Guy with the National Guard. It's going to be the Marines that he sends in there this time to clean up these streets once and for all. This is America, folks, not Venezuela. Now, there's a report, if you guys saw today, and I don't even want to really talk about it, but the Daily Beast put out a piece from a doctor who I hope President Trump sues the hell out of, who's saying that President Trump months ago had some sort of stroke, but that he's recovered, but there's signs that President Trump has a stroke. This is what we're dealing with, the mainstream media. Silent on Joe Biden for 4 years, the most healthy president we've ever seen in history. But they're coming after President Trump. These are the enemy of the people. When President Trump says the mainstream media is the enemy of the people, he's being 100% accurate. Let's get to some shout-outs here before we wrap up the show. Let us know where you're tuned in from, folks. Let us know if you're enjoying the show or if you hate the show. GWFII, good afternoon, Patriots from beautiful San Diego. Kelly Song, appreciate you tuning in over on YouTube. The Real Everlade, we appreciate you tuning in. Denmark will send a third dog sled. Mike over on Facebook, as President Trump said. Nick Shirley and Dave Hawk revealed on Jesse Waters last night that millions of dollars in transportation fraud in Minneapolis by corrupt Muslim Somalis. Yeah, I think they're completely screwed. Emski's Tuna Fins. We want Caitlin Bennett on this show. I've got someone working on that. Correspondent Tom Landry is working on that, bringing Caitlin Bennett on the Great America Show. So we're working on it. Some reporter asked at one point, do you plan to invade or take by force? And he said, no. They said that, not him. No, I know. I was just playing it satirically because obviously he's not going to take it by force. It's the whole thing is so funny to watch NATO send in these military troops like we're terrified of them. Like they're going to do a damn thing. If they were going to do a damn thing, they would have been on the ground in Ukraine fighting this war that they've started. Paul Girl, we appreciate you tuning in. Kelly Song, we got to you. The Real Everlade, you're awesome. Hear from Stephen Gardner. You and him have become my new main 2 daily news takes. Could listen for an hour. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm honored to be your number 2 to Stephen. Steve is a good friend. He's a great American. I really got to know Steve over the last few months of doing this. Actually, it's been a year now, I think, and I got to meet him in person a few months ago. Real good, solid dude. Really, really good family man. And he's helped me out with a lot of stuff. So I'm grateful for Steve and his friendship and all the viewers that he's sent over here. So if you don't tune into Steve's show, the Stephen Gardner Show, each and every day over on YouTube, great American, great patriot. And he does a really, really terrific show. We need Greenland. If we don't get it, China or Russia will, which will not be good. And the funny thing about that, Alice Jane, is that they'll bend over for them. They'll get on their hands and knees and beg China and Russia. They'll let them go in there. They'll let them develop whenever they want. They'll let them build whatever power plants they want. Don't say a word. But the second America says, we need to make a deal. And by the way, China and Russia will go in by force. China and Russia don't go in and say, hey, we're going to give you $100,000 each resident if we can take over the territory. You guys will still live your normal lives and nothing will change. But maybe they'll add a few McDonald's. I lied. Maybe they'll add a few McDonald's. But commercialize it a tiny bit. But if there's certain parameters in place, like nothing changes, land development, anything still goes through a board run by the folks of Greenland, I don't see anything wrong with that. Let the people decide. Who the hell is Denmark to tell the people what they're allowed to do? Talk about oligarchs. Aloha from Hawaii. President Trump is the greatest president of my lifetime. Candy hoarding. Aloha. I got to get to Hawaii. I haven't been there since I was young. I've got to get back there, and I'm jealous. So I appreciate you. Same for me. Best U.S. history, in my opinion. Yeah, but he'll never get the credit that he so deserves. Insane. I'm here from Steven's show. Also, I like John. I have a tiny crush on him. Don't make me blush here. I appreciate you and the rest of Steven's audience who's tuned in here. Appreciate you guys. I agree in history. There will never be another like him. He's too funny. Yeah, President Trump he's I've got to know him over the course of the last a few years. And what you see is what you get with him. In person, he's very similar to who he is. He sits down, he listens to people, he listens to you speak, he asks questions. He's nothing like the mainstream media portrays him. So I think it's sad that he gets this bad rap from the mainstream media because they hate him. And he's the most transparent president in history. He's literally the only president where you could pick up your phone, and he gives out his number to a lot of people, and get him on the phone. And talk to him and text him and answer. You name another president who's ever done that before, and I'll tell you you're crazy. Now, maybe I'm wrong a little bit on the fact of presidents answering their phone. I'm sure they always answer to the lobbyists and special interests. So sad. So sad. Candy, can you imagine after he leaves, the news will be so drab? Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I worked at Fox News for, 4 or 5 years. And I worked here at the Times of Trump. And it was my first job in news for Lou Dobbs. And, I came in at the heat of Trump. And it was a blast. And Trump leaves office in 2021. And the news, the cycle. It literally, and you see these shifts in news cycles, in newsrooms and news organizations, where people leave networks, after a president wins or loses. But it really does become really friggin' boring. Really, really, really boring. Indiana here. Pulling for the Hoosiers. I'm pulling for them. They're going to win the Natty. They are going to do it. Fist bumps in for it. Went to Hawaii once. Beautiful lands. Absolutely beautiful. Makes so much sense. Not sure what that's in reference to, but if it's a show, I appreciate it. Folks, I appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in tonight here live for the Great America Show. We're trying to do live shows as much as we possibly can, but and get to your questions and your shout outs as much as we can. But if you didn't catch us on this live stream, let us know in the comments. Let us know where you're tuned in from. Let us know if you like the show. Let us know what you want from the show. Let us know if you want guests on the show. I say this all the time. This is not my show. This is our show, and I'm here to put on a show for you guys and give you guys the news that you guys deserve, with a little bit of my take on it. But nonetheless, the news is the news, and I report it as so. And I do get some hate from Republicans who don't like to hear the truth, who don't like to hear it, and the only thing I can say to you is I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit here and tell this audience of great patriots who tune in every night something that's not true. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to pressure you to believe something that's not true just because it's a certain person. I love Donald Trump to death, and I agree with him on 99% of the things that he does and his administration and his cabinet. But where there are differences, I'm not going to sit back and try to make myself agree on something that I fundamentally disagree on. One of the big ones is the Pam Bondi thing, and I fundamentally disagree with it, the job that she's doing. And it's not because I don't like Donald Trump. It's because whether I like it or not, I'm in the know. And I'm told things that aren't reported. Some of them I share with you, and some of them are confidential, and I can't. So when I give you my take on something, 99% of the time, unless I'm giving you my opinion, it's based on something that I was told or something that's a fact. So don't get mad at me for, reporting the news. Like I said, 99% of the things with President Trump I agree on. I love the man to death. But there are some fundamental changes and differences that, like anything else, nobody agrees with someone 100% of the time. If you agree with somebody 100% of the time, that's a problem. That is 100% a problem. Married couples out there, you don't agree with your husband or your wife 100% of the time. That's a problem. So we're humans, we make mistakes. And anytime I make a mistake, I come out here and I own it. Like we all should. That's what makes us humans. We make mistakes. But like I said, I will never taint the news here on this show to tailor towards making something sugar-coated when it shouldn't be. If there's something going wrong and there's a problem, we need to fix it. Sugar-coating it and lying to you is not fixing the problem. And I'll leave it at that. Before we go, we've got a God bless Patriots. Here's the great rest of your evening from our friend GWFII. Harry over on Facebook, he's a real American president, taking evil out of the country city by city. Amen to that, brother. And God bless you. Folks, that's all for us tonight here on the Great America Show. We appreciate, like I said, each and every one of you guys tuning in here each and every night. You guys are the reason why I come out here and do a show every night. So we appreciate it. As I said, I can't thank you guys enough. That's all for us tonight, folks. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place for the Great America Show, where we're going to be fighting for truth, justice, and the American way. Truth, justice, and the American way. You heard it here. We'll see you back here tomorrow, folks. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.